Christmas Day, there's NFL, and normally there's only NBA. But because it fell on a Sunday, the NFL was there. Similar this past weekend, NFL fell on January 1st. They pushed all the bowl games.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's
UFC
not the other way around.
Second.
So all the bowl games, Rose Bowl, Cotton Bowl, all these bowl games got pushed to January 2nd. It's clear why. The ratings are absolutely fucking nuts. NFL is single-handedly keeping TV alive.
At least live broadcast.
Yeah.
But now it's gone to streaming.
Yeah.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, group chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Group Chat. It is 2023. This is the first episode of the year. We're kicking it off with a Happy New Year kickoff. A lot to talk about. We talk about grammar first.
Pet peeves.
Pet peeves. And the amount of pet peeves. Happy New Year's to the amount of pet peeves. More to come on that. We'll start by parenting. A bunch of parents pissed me off at the snow today or this weekend. Talking about that. And then we dive into Tesla, SBF, the Middle East, and so much more. And then a bunch of shout outs to kick off the year. Shall we get into it?
Let's go.
Happy New Year, everyone. Here's an interesting thing. You know, people say Happy New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
That's incorrect.
I think it's Happy New Year's Eve.
Yes.
Because the Eve belongs to the year.
Yes.
The apostrophe S.
Yes. But people consistently have been emailing me, texting me Happy New Year's, which is grammatically incorrect.
Are you
say
correcting
Happy
them?
New Year. What?
Are you correcting them?
No, I assume they're an idiot.
Okay. I think you should correct every single one that said it. Just respond,
No,
actually,
you know what
it's
I'd
Happy
rather
New Year.
do is take people that say Happy New Year's. I'm going to have Otto put them into a folder and assume they have lower intelligence. Here's the thing. I'm sure historically I've made that mistake too. But it's okay to get corrected and look it up and properly understand and
Feels
correct
like
stuff.
a Curb episode, like Larry David would be doing this.
Yes. It's insane because the other thing is it's publicly on social media now. People saying it's not Happy New Year's, it's Happy New Year. But people can't help themselves.
Well, it is a little confusing because the day before is New Year's Eve.
Yes.
So you just kind of carry that on the next day.
Sure. At some point, you know, now it just drives me nuts when people say Happy New Year's.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's nuts.
That, to similar, is a grammatical thing that literally drives me insane. And it happens on this pod a lot, is the difference between amount and number when you think of things.
Okay.
So if something's quantified,
Okay.
you have to use number of,
Okay.
not amount of.
Who's saying amount of?
A lot of people, including you.
Give me an example.
So an
Like the
example
amount
would
of
be
nuts.
like, yes, it's the number of nuts. You can quantify the number of nuts.
Amount should be
Something you can't quantify.
amount of happiness.
Sure. There you go. Can't quantify happiness.
Depends on who you talk to. Some people
It's not measurable.
It is. Some way people say $10 million equals happiness.
So then the number of happiness.
Number of happiness is 10 million.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can't be happy.
If that, but you have to clarify that.
My happiness number is $10 million. There's a number of happiness for me.
There you go. You can use it then.
So that's grammatically correct.
In your instance, yes.
Okay.
Grammar
What
lesson.
are the amount of topics we have today?
Exactly. This is what pisses me off.
What else you got?
I'll think of some, but that's a big one for me.
Okay. That's an interesting one. So Happy New Year's and amount of.
Yes.
What are the amount of Happy New Year's you received? All right. So now we have these top grammatical things to work on for 2023.
Pet peeves.
Pet peeves. Happy New Year's and amount of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Those are fair. How was your New Year's Eve?
My New Year's Eve was fantastic.
Okay.
I was in Mexico for 4 nights
Okay.
in Punta Minta. Our very close friend was gracious and threw a bash for 4 days.
That's amazing.
During the day for kids, night for adults.
What was the nights for adults? I know what kids are doing.
You know what adults are doing?
Okay. As predicted.
Yes.
That's great. Weather obviously was awesome.
Weather's perfect. Never been to Punta Minta.
It's awesome.
Stunning. Water's perfect. Weather was perfect.
Yeah.
Again, hotel, high-end hotel, all Americans.
Yeah, I mean,
Americans just have too much money.
unlimited. Americans have unlimited money. That's why interest rates are going to 15, 20%.
Yeah.
There's no stop in sight here.
Yeah, no, it was I feel like high-end places years ago were much more diverse. Now it's all Americans.
Well, Chinese people basically.
Yeah, you
have been locked
eliminated
down.
1.4 billion people.
Okay, so they're gone. Typically, you would see Arab people.
Yep, and Japanese people.
Yeah, which I think Japanese people also aren't traveling like they used to because of all the COVID restrictions. Arab people, I think, Middle East is having like a renaissance. It's also good weather time there. So I don't see why, you can go to Dubai for the weekend now, right? If you live in the Middle East.
It's an interesting thing. Obviously, the person who I'm talking about who hosted the whole weekend, and his wife is a diehard Kathy.
Amazing.
And she listens to stories I say friends of,
Yeah,
and gets nervous I'm talking about her husband.
Oh, wow.
And he got caught for, I think I mentioned a friend wants a 140-inch TV.
Okay.
And she's like, I know it's him. Went up to him and was like, are you buying a 140-inch TV? She's like, how did you know? It's like, I heard on the pod.
Oh, that's good. That's really good.
I thought that was really funny.
That is amazing. It's funny because there's always references to people, and sometimes we don't mention names, and people are always wondering who
They're
those
guessing.
people. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
it's a fun game. It's fascinating. Well, that's great. It sounded like a great trip. We hunkered down here in the brutal winter storms.
Yeah, so it was this weather the whole time?
Basically, it was pretty wet.
I saw it was in the high 40s.
So Christmas, obviously, weekend was great, and then the rest of the week it was quite cold. I mean, we've had the heater on for a month, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah,
and then obviously New Year's Day. So New Year's Eve, we stayed home, couldn't get a babysitter, went to bed early, 9:30, 10. Woke up.
Did you guys do a dinner with the kids?
Yeah, went to the Grove.
Nice.
Usual spot.
The Mexican spot?
Usual Mexican spot.
How was the Grove? Was it busy on New Year's Eve?
Yeah, it was busy. It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't.
I guess the weather wasn't great.
Yeah, I mean, the parking lot was, say, 60% full, not packed. But yeah, there's people at the restaurant. Basically every table at the restaurant was taken. Had an early dinner, got home, watched a little TV, went to bed, and then Saturday morning we actually took the kids to Wrightwood, near Mountain High, to do tubing.
Traffic or no?
We went really early, so we missed all the traffic. So we were, out of there by 12:30, and that was my first interaction with a lot of people with my kids in a very long time. Forget a shopping center, but a destination where you're confined to space and rules and things like that. People are unbearable. It is snowing. Okay. It is cold. I'm carrying Miles, a 2-year-old. Okay. He clearly is distraught with the snow hitting his face because it's a little windy too. I'm trying to walk into the lodging area to just not be outside. People just shove their way right through. They don't give a shit. It's just unbelievable. Just common decency certain groups of people have.
So
or the lack thereof.
Is there a line to tubing, or it's a free for all? You just do whatever you want?
So the tubing itself is actually a line to wait for the tube, a line to get on the mountain. And that in itself was, very organized, but slow. So that I have no problem with.
Then there's kids patient? I'm sure kids are losing it, right?
Yeah. There's, Miles probably shouldn't have been there as a 2-year-old. Not the right.
Because
venue.
people are, I mean, you go to these mountains, kids are skiing at 4, so I would assume the tubing age is lower.
It's pretty mixed. There's adults tubing too. Like people, everyone's just doing it. It's like a wide range. Kids are definitely sub 10 for the most part. But then there's like a free play snow area. And like, it really kind of shows at an early age, you start seeing like how kids act it's very much reflective of how their parents are. Like, just the way they share space, or, the same person that was like bogarting me to the fucking lodge, their kids were not letting my kids play.
Mhm.
It's the same family. You know what I mean? Like, it's very reflective in parenting styles that you start seeing at a very young age. It's everything, when you look at society and you see how people are as adults, it is so clear to me. It literally comes, we do not hold parents accountable in this country.
So I guess
like,
here's
what responsibility do you have as a parent?
I guess
all?
it depends on the age. Because when you have young kids,
I'm talking like an 8-9-year-old.
8-9-year-olds should
Not
be
letting my
reprimanded.
kid come down the slide is fucking nuts. Like, move the fuck out of the way, dude.
Yeah. 8-9's old enough where they should have some manners.
Yeah, I mean, Dominic knows there's kids get turns. You get a turn, the next person gets a turn. It's very obvious things. But if your parents are not instilling that in their children, I can't blame the kid when the dad is blocking the slide so that our kids can't go. It's fucking nuts.
There were no confrontations.
No, and then finally, Haley was like, do you mind if our kids go down the slide? Because I just wanted to see how long this guy would block it. He was prepared to block it the whole time.
He was ready for a fight.
He wasn't ready for a fight. He just didn't know. This guy just doesn't know. He's fucking blind.
I mean, there's tons of kids, I'm assuming.
Yeah, but there's a lot of little spaces, and then we all end up, because we have younger kids, we're in this smaller little mountain area.
Yeah.
And the kid's just taking his kids, putting him down the slide, putting him down, and not letting anyone else go down. I was just like, what the fuck is going on here?
9's a little old to be just sliding back and forth.
Yeah, learn how to ski. Teach your kid how to ski. Why are you in the slides? I mean, it's really frustrating to, like, when you go out, like you go to a park, like we did a park in OC, we'll do a park in West Hollywood, and we'll do a park in Beverly Hills, we'll do a park in Hollywood. And just because there's such different groups of people in it's just how parents act and how their kids act is wild. Like, you don't, like, there's no obviously playbook to raise your children. And it's fascinating just to see, like, how different kids act so differently.
Most of my experiences are parents that if their kid does something stupid and you can't control a young kid, they're just like overly embarrassed and overly apologetic.
Yeah. I mean, I think like that happened to Miles the other day at the park in Orange County. Some kid just shoved him in the face. And I don't like to get in front of the kids fighting and all that stuff. Like, if my kid does something, then yes, but I'm not going to go be that parent, be like, oh, your kid pushed my kid. I think kids need to learn how to conflict resolution on their own. But this mom was like, grabbed her kid, overly like apologetic, which I don't know if that's the right reaction either. Instead, maybe tell like, hey, why did you do that? Like, you also kind of got to explain things. Like, there's a lot of things, I mean, we could even, we'll dive into, I didn't want to talk about it right now, but we were watching the football game last night with my kids. Dominic's at an age where he asks questions on everything. It just kind of happens. I guess maybe this like 4 or 5 year old range. And he obviously saw our reaction to the game. And then he was like, what happened? What happened? And I was just trying to avoid it. I didn't want to deal with it.
Well, it's also unclear what happened in the moment.
Exactly. So I was avoiding it. And interesting enough, so I'll give you another backstory that happened simultaneously was 3 days earlier, Dominic gets an allowance, like $1 a week. And every quarter he buys something with his allowance. He wanted to buy a police outfit, like a hat and a thing. So we bought it. And in it came a whistle, a thing for writing tickets, and then handcuffs. Haley put away the handcuffs. And then she's like, what do you think about this? Should I show him the handcuffs? I was like, no, just put it away. Why do you want to explain all that? And she was like, no, I'm going to give it to him. And she explained it. Like, what is it used for? Why we're not putting it on each other? Like, just you can
It's
have
for bad guys, whatever.
Yeah, we didn't even say what a bad guy is because you have to define what is bad.
That's true.
It's
Is it the dad that's blocking the slide?
yeah.
Is he a bad guy? Should be in cuffs?
That guy is a bad guy. You should take his cuffs and arrest that guy. But yeah, I think it becomes difficult to, because as your kids get older, they ask all of these questions, and you have to give. I think like I don't recall what our parents would have said if we had asked about stuff like this.
I think they would have just lied.
Yes, or yeah, and we just don't. We literally tell him exactly what's going on and let him understand it. We try to, which I think is I don't
know what's right.
I don't know what's right either. I think it's
Lying's good. They figured it out on their own at some point.
yeah, but I think lying does do damage to like, especially like when our dad died, we didn't lie. We had to tell him because he was asking and he wanted to know. So I think there are certain things. I think you get to the point where you get a little bit more comfortable and you learn how to like articulate it to them so they can understand it. But it's tough. And we're watching the games like, what happened? Why aren't they playing? Why aren't they playing? Why is everyone there? Why is the ambulance there? What's going on? And I was like, oh shit.
What's crazy from his perspective, I mean, unfortunately in football, ambulances show up like not weekly, but
yeah, it happens
multiple times a year.
Yeah.
But this was just extremely severe relative to what typically the ambulances come out for.
Yeah.
So,
and I think my point is really, I think we could do a better job as a society equipping parents for parenthood. I think people just think as long as I provide for my family, I'll do, like, I don't know if I think I sent this in a group chat. Akon, Nick Cannon was feeling bad that he couldn't go to all the recitals and all the events. And Akon said like, fuck the recitals. That's a white man's burden or something. That's what white people care about. And the comments are obviously like, that's ridiculous. You have to be present. You have to be excited about your children's activities. And I think parenthood means so many different things to different people. I think like if you're coming from immigrant background, it's like, we just got to survive. Like we got to put food on our table. We have to educate our children and we just had to get by. We were fortunate enough. Our parents made that sacrifice. We just have to do better, right? Like, so ours is like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like it would be nice. We're fortunate. We live in LA. We're open-minded. We're going to parenting classes. We're going to all these different things. We're reading, like my wife's reading books about it and like very open-minded about being a better parent. I don't know if that's common I think in certain circles that's very common, but I think if you just went around the country and just said, hey, what's your parenting style?
that's also a function of having money.
Yeah.
Because the majority of people in the country don't have money.
But you can still think about there's a lot of things that don't require. Okay, I agree. Food, very difficult to do.
Yeah, but if you're consumed your whole day working 2 jobs and you have kids at home that are with grandma or aunt, and then you come home at 7:30 p.m., probably aren't going to care.
Yeah.
Because you're like exhausted.
Yeah.
Give them the iPad, give them their grilled cheese, their McDonald's Happy Meal.
Yeah.
And just path of least resistance. And I don't fault those people for that because they spend so much time just trying to make ends meet. And I get it. We traveled with 2 young kids. We were like pouches, whatever, like just get through.
Okay. So I get the exception on the travel. That's very specific.
That's the exception for them every day.
Yeah. So I've had this conversation with Haley about it. Is it worth doing all this work, basically like killing myself, and if I can't be present with the kids? I don't know. The answer might be like, maybe when it's all said and done, they would rather us live a quiet life, modest income, and just be me, have me more present than me hoping that I can create something that's going to make us a ton of money or do, I don't know what the answer to that question is. Today, 30 years from now, we may have the answer to that question. But like my guess is they'd rather have the time. So as a parent, like you're doing all of these things to just make ends meet. And at some point you have to make what's actually best, not just for yourself, but for your children. Yeah.
But then kids after 12 or 13 have no interest in being around their parents.
No, but there's a lot of work you can do. We have a troubled society, and especially with technology, it's clear kids need help with parents. Like parents need to be present. So many people feel like giving an iPad is the fix, right? And we know there's no statistic that's saying we're trending in a better place than we were 25 years ago. Whether it's obesity, depression, things of that nature, and how young people feel. The onus is on the parents at the end of the day. And that's not, and there's a middle class in America still that does have the time to put forth to their kids. I'm not expecting, the impoverished family to care about like their kids' feelings or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about like a middle class family is half this country.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think we solved it.
No, we definitely haven't. But my point being is going to the ski thing was like, I wish more parents just understood like, hey, like teach your kids some basic shit here.
So, okay, compare the ski. I know exactly where you went.
Yeah.
Compare it to the West Hollywood Park. How different are the parents? Different incomes.
Yeah, very much. Everyone's very self-aware of like what, even if their kids are out of pocket, they fucking get it instantly. They're like, you know what, Mary, you got to let Dominic use some of this slide too.
So there's the answer to your question.
But dude, the place we went to wasn't cheap. They charged
Nothing's cheap.
$60 to walk in. It's not cheap. Park is free.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know if it's just money. I think it's like a cultural thing too. You have to actually care and have to want to care.
Yeah.
All right. I'll tell you who doesn't care. It's Tesla investors. Continue to dump the stock. I know we talk about it basically every episode, but so on Sunday, Tesla released their quarterly delivery and production. Huge number, grew 40%, but fell short. I think they were expecting 50% growth. They grew 40%.
Yeah, I think the number was they delivered 405,000 cars in the quarter, and they were expecting 430,000.
Yeah, it's similar to like the CPI,
CPI,
where it's like just like a few thousand cars.
Yeah, like if freaking some guy confirmed his purchase the night before,
they would have hit the numbers.
Right?
Yeah. So I think what's shocking is the demand for Tesla is still bonkers. But it's clear investors are looking for an excuse to punish this company. So they wiped off another $40 billion of...
So since we started talking about Tesla's share decline, which is probably 8 stock market days from today before, and they've lost $100 billion in market cap. $100 billion.
Which is insane. It's now, I think Elon Musk's Tesla holding is now worth $45 billion, which is the value of Twitter.
Yeah.
Just his Tesla holding. But it also came out today that SpaceX is now worth $137 billion.
140, right? That's what people are raising it. But it's not monetized.
Yeah, but we know he can get money against
he's fine, but he keeps selling its Tesla stock.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone realizes how much of a personal burden Twitter has now become of his.
Yeah.
From a financial standpoint. Sure, on paper he's worth.
Yeah.
We know paper and real cash is very different.
Yeah.
And you're the sole owner with investors who've already given money and debt, and they're not going to keep pumping money in.
Yeah.
And everyone knows they're going to keep trying to raise capital, but it's going to be at a significantly lower valuation.
Yeah.
There's going to be massive dilution. And I think his shenanigans the last 12 months have made investors say, like, you're an auto company. So if you're an auto company, you have like another 60% to go from here. The kind of aura of Elon and just backing him blindly, I think took a huge hit in the last 12 months.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think...
Because Twitter was such a misstep.
Yeah.
He got bullied into that acquisition.
Yeah.
And it's a terrible business.
Yeah.
He's got billion of interest a year to pay with a declining advertising model.
Yeah.
Walking into a recession.
Yeah.
Him saying publicly it's not viable.
Yeah.
And people are like, all right, this guy, sure, he's a great product innovator, but does he know how to run a business?
Yeah. I think I believe, and whatever, we should we'll do our predictions this week. So I don't want to predict what I think will happen, but yeah, look, he has to make some very hard decisions. I think like the next 30 days. Like, I don't think it can drag on because
the more he just is tweeting and talking about Twitter, you're going to see another 30%, 40% decline in Tesla share price.
Yeah.
No one cares. A Tesla shareholder is like, I don't care what your view on comments and views and free speech are.
Yeah.
Can you keep growing this company at the pace you were?
Yeah. And look, the reality is we've learned in capitalistic society, all that matters is keep making more money. That's it.
Yes, but then the aura of Elon was probably 50% of the value of Tesla.
Yeah. Maybe.
Even today.
Yeah.
Because Toyota is the next most valuable company. It's 180 billion.
Yeah. I think
so that's half.
I think that the more interesting era that we are going into is that the last, call it 5 years, we were in the era of like the founder.
Mm-hmm.
Where we put these people up as mythical creatures that were like invincible,
and blindly backing them.
And we're clear. What founder would you rate in the last 5 years that has lived up to their expectation? I would say only Elon.
And now he's destroyed $650 billion of market cap.
They would have gone down 50% no matter what. The market went down 50%.
Yeah, they probably would have been a $600 billion company if it weren't for Twitter.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. So we can take 250 billion of market cap because of his shenanigans.
That's
but
crazy.
Like, think about it.
I think what you're trying to extrapolate from what you said is that the founder worship of investors just backing Zuck blindly is gone.
Yeah.
Look at Facebook's Meta stock.
Yeah.
Blindly backing Elon and Tesla, which until the last kind of 3-4 years was what was happening.
Yeah.
Because they hadn't figured out shit till the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Other than delivering the first version of the Tesla. Yeah. And we're in an era, and it's obviously massively interest rate driven, where people are like, show me results.
Yeah.
No one cares who the backer of the company is. Like, look, Apple, Tim Cook isn't the founder.
No.
Satya Nadella's not the founder of Microsoft.
No. That's my point, is that
they're delivering on the
because all that matters will be results in this era.
Until we get to a 0% interest rate environment in 3 years or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
It's just results.
Yeah. And so I think, this allure of the founder is gone.
Yep.
In private market.
So many things. Yeah. Obviously we're going to talk about everyone's favorite SBF, but Adam Newman.
Yeah.
Everyone, they've lost confidence.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Adam Newman can raise more money.
Raise money. Let's see if he raises it again. That'd be impressive.
He seems invincible. Everyone says he's just a charming guy. So
Travis Kalanick keeps raising money.
Exactly. So I think there are certain people that they have a knack for it. They know how to do it, and they'll continue to do it. And just fundraising and operating a business are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are incredible at fundraising. But yeah, so look, we'll follow the news closely. Really curious to see, because Tesla goes down another 10-20% this week. Dude, he has problems.
Yeah, and the thing which if you just casually look on Twitter, the number of people that were trading Tesla on margin.
Yeah.
If they're publicly admitting to it, imagine how many people privately were doing it.
Yeah. Fascinating. So SBF, big news.
And that's what. And we've explained this millions of times, but I know a lot of people just aren't from the investing world. When you have the stock that's traded on margin, like Tesla, and like all the growth stocks were, when people get margin called, they're forced to sell.
Yep.
So it causes this compounding effect of destroying a stock's value. Yep. So even though Tesla may just, sure they missed, but they didn't really massively miss. They still grew. It's every time you have bad news, it becomes this compounding effect of people being forced to sell, which causes these stocks to crater.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. The other big news is SBF went to court and pled not guilty to fraud.
All the counts.
Guess when they set the trial for this fucking case?
October 2nd.
October 2nd? You're telling me you cannot fast track this?
How? This is a joke.
This guy's political clout is unfucking believable.
So he's got 9 to 10 months of just chilling in Palo Alto.
Yes, they literally 9-10 months. That's insane. How did the judge set a date this far out?
And it's kind of
in these other cases,
I don't know who these judges are, but you saw the first judge recused themselves.
Yeah.
So why'd the first judge jump out? Who's this new judge?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. There's a lot of funny business. Tinfoil all day on this one.
Tinfoil all day, and this is like there's no like left or right in terms of who wants SBF to be freed or not. He fucked over everyone.
Yeah.
He screwed over everyone in the crypto industry, whether you had money in FTX or not.
Yeah.
My crypto holdings pre and post FTX are down 30% because of him.
Yeah. I mean, the guy played his card right. If on the rise, donate to the right people.
Do you really think that's it? Honestly.
Yes, I actually do. I'll give you an example. There's another big tinfoil thing happening this weekend. The office of the U.S. Virgin Islands fired their attorney general days after a suit that alleged that J.P. Morgan and Jeffrey Epstein had ties. And apparently the Biden family was in the Virgin Islands on vacation, and then all of this kind of unfolds. I'm going tinfoil here.
You're big tinfoil.
Epstein is tinfoil. The fact that nothing has come out on this case is fucking insane.
So I just opened TikTok while I was on vacation, and I have no idea when this interview was from, but Melinda Gates was on whatever the CBS morning show is with Gayle King.
Yep.
She just eviscerates Bill Gates and Jeff Epstein. And this is on national television. I don't know when this interview was. It must have been a while ago. But I don't get how like this hasn't been exposed more.
It's clear it's not going to be discussed in mainstream media because it involves too many very sensitive people and things. And everyone's doing their best to brush it away. And it's clearly one of the biggest scandals of our lifetime. It's just not going to be, we're never going to know anything about it.
No, never.
Even there was something about like the JFK assassination that came out a few weeks ago that's making it clear that like the CIA was involved in some facet. It just got brushed over.
JFK is the epitome of tinfoil.
Yeah.
I think Epstein is up there, but JFK obviously is more powerful. But
yeah.
Epstein was around equally as powerful people.
Yeah.
Presidents, billionaires.
Yeah.
Both presidents, Clinton and Trump, both sides.
Yeah. I mean, the way that this thing is just, nothing has come out. Literally nothing. We don't know anyone who was there, what was going on.
Remember the show Scandal with Kerry Washington? Yeah. They wouldn't, that got off the rails towards the end.
But it was
nothing like Epstein. Had they had an Epstein plot, we would have been like, this is ridiculous.
The thing about Scandal, it was always like, everyone was like, oh, it was so unrealistic. But now, hindsight?
Yeah. I probably need to rewatch it. Probably was tame. It's like the show Silicon Valley, which was supposed to be parody, but it was underplaying what was actually going on. Yeah, and I think when you start, and there's a lot of businesses, I mean, a lot of shows like this where you're like, oh, this is fucking nuts. And then like 5 years go by. Yeah, like Homeland? Probably true.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like tinfoil all day on this stuff.
Succession is definitely true.
Yeah,
that's how every rich family operates.
Yeah, I have no problem with that show. It doesn't feel too crazy to me. But yeah, I mean, like whether it's this Epstein, J.P. Morgan ties, obviously the guy had bankers. He had a lot of money. There's banks tied to this. There's no doubt. Like whether we want,
I mean, like the Jolo scandal involved every major bank in the country.
Yeah, I find it fascinating, like how. I don't know if it's governments or media or whoever, they pick and choose which horse to back. Like, like SBF is clearly getting some preferential treatment in the media.
Yeah, and the whole world wants him behind bars.
Yeah. I don't think anyone, same thing with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, like no one's defending them publicly.
Well, Bill Ackman was defending SBF.
Yeah.
He kind of backed off a little bit, but
Yeah. I don't even understand what his horse in the race is here, other than he just wanted to prove something. Like, if he just wanted to be a talking head on it, unless he was getting paid.
I mean, he has too much money to be paid by SBF.
Who knows? At this point, everyone's up for grabs.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know.
stupid.
It doesn't make any sense because I don't think SBF is a political pawn for anyone because it's not publicly favorable for anyone to back him.
I agree. Maybe because of money.
And you know how politics are. The moment you're not valuable, they throw you under the bus.
Yeah, maybe he has dirt on people. Who the fuck knows? He's clearly willing to share information very openly.
I haven't seen a clip, but obviously Tom Brady has to get interviewed after every game. Has anyone asked him?
You're probably not allowed to.
You think the NFL and Brady said no questions?
NFL doesn't like controversy.
They don't like shenanigans.
No.
Not that I'm saying Tom Brady has anything to do with it,
No.
but he definitely hung out with them in the Bahamas. He was at his conference.
Yeah, SBF.
Yeah.
Not Epstein.
Epstein.
SBF.
Who's worse?
I mean, depends what you define.
I mean, people probably have committed suicide because of SBF.
I think Epstein's worse. Money you can live without.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll have to see how this trial. But October, Jesus Christ! You know what can happen between now and October? He could be set free.
I mean, he's free.
Yeah, but like literally, they could drop the case.
I mean, him flying first class and someone taking a picture was insane.
Yeah. Just chit chatting,
Drinking orange juice.
Could have been a mimosa.
Yeah, probably was a mimosa. It's an early morning flight. What's he gonna do?
He has 10 months to change public opinion.
His defense is, I just ran a shitty company.
Yeah. Which can work.
Can you imagine?
He can walk. 100% he can walk. There's no doubt in my mind. If I were to, like...
But he went on all those podcasts, basically admitting to all the crimes.
I would bet, if I were to bet, who will serve more jail time? Young Thug or SBF?
Young Thug, I think, is done for life, right?
I mean, that's what they're shooting for. But I'm just saying. And
well, he already has.
Yeah.
Hasn't Young Thug been locked up almost 18 months, 2 years?
Yeah, he's been locked up. I don't know how long, a long time. But my point is like, when it's all said and done.
So I think what you're trying to say is Young Thug has no shot to be free.
No.
But SBF does have a shot to be free.
Yes, 100%. And no one is here saying free SBF. Everyone is saying free Young Thug.
Yeah.
There's no one on SBF's side here.
No one.
Yeah. Publicly. 100% publicly, there's no one on his side. All right. We'll have to see. Well, if he does get set free, here's the hot new place to go. Dubai. Interesting news that coming out of Dubai today. They are taking a 1-year break on their 30% tax on alcohol. I don't think people realize this is such a huge cultural shift. So in Dubai, there's alcohol. Obviously, that is the place in the Middle East that is, call it the Sin City of the Middle East. And they have the restaurants, they have the alcohol, they have the partying. Very, very different than the rest of that part of the world. But there's been a 30% tax on alcohol.
You know, it's funny. I've been to Dubai a bunch, and I didn't know that was the reason drinks were so expensive.
You just thought
I thought it was like, oh, they import, maybe they pay.
Yeah.
So they're just ripping us off.
They're ripping you off. And so they said like a pint of beer is $15, glass of wine
it's insane.
$20. Yeah, it's very expensive. They're pausing this in the hopes to encourage more tourism. Here's what I think would happen. More people discovered the Middle East this year than ever before because of the World Cup. And I know...
And I think before the World Cup, because Dubai
was open
and they did a good job of like letting tourists in while being safe with COVID.
Yeah. And I think what people have realized, a lot of people realize all over the world. And look, I know everyone's like, oh, I'm never going to go visit Doha. You say that today, but the world is changing. People never thought they would visit mainland China 30 years ago.
Of course not.
And now there was people, I mean, now I don't think they're going, but like before, how many people
it was
we
like
know?
a bucket list. Oh,
yeah,
go to Beijing.
Go to Great Wall, go to Shanghai, go to Hong Kong. That was like a trip that specifically older people did.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what's going to happen with the Middle East. It's going through a cultural renaissance. you're seeing it happen where, first of all, just from a very surface level view, Dubai has 5-star hotels, incredible food, incredible music, incredible nightlife, great weather, basically all year round, except it's too hot in the summer. But like, it checks the basic boxes of what people want in a vacation. And it's catering to part of the world that doesn't have a whole lot of places to go to. Like, besides Tel Aviv, there isn't a lot of places to go to in that region of the world.
Dubai is actually the center of the world from most metropolitan global cities. Obviously, it's 15 hours from LA.
Yeah.
6 hours from London.
Yeah.
6 hours from Asia.
Yeah.
4 hours from Africa.
Yeah. India, 4 hours.
2.5 hours from India.
Yeah.
So you can reach billions of people.
Yeah.
Within 6 hours, even if you remove the US from it. Because the US, yes, it's definitely a longer flight. And my first time ever going to Dubai was 2008. So it was right on the heels of coming off the financial crisis. And there was so much doubt because there were so many unfinished buildings. The whole place was stuck with cranes.
Yeah, I remember.
And there wasn't like that many tourists. We were on our way to, friends and I were on our way to a wedding, and we had a friend working in Dubai. So we just wanted to be like, what is Dubai? Let's go see it. There was definitely stigma back then for the Middle East.
Yeah.
That stigma is far gone.
No, now it's cool.
Now it's cool. They have open ties with Israel now. So
A lot of Israelis are going.
yeah, I think that was a year ago where they had the first, I think, Tel Aviv Dubai flight or Jerusalem Dubai flight, whichever one it was. And now it's like open season. And they were by far from a tourist perspective, like Dubai's an amazing place for families.
Yeah.
You have the Atlantis aquariums. Everything is like sensory driven.
Yeah.
The fountain show at the Burj. What kid's not going to love seeing that? The lights, the fireworks.
Yeah.
It's an incredible job for families. Incredible job for nightlife.
Well, our friend Rafa, who listens to the podcast, took his whole family there. For what, a month?
Yeah, I think he posted, he said he went to 8 countries in the Middle East, exclusive to the Middle East. He's from Venezuela.
Yeah.
Right?
Who lives in LA, yeah.
No, but I'm saying a Venezuelan born person that came to the US decided to take his family to 8 countries in the Middle East.
Yeah. Yeah, when you look at history, the World Cup, $300 billion they spent.
It was all worth it.
It was all worth it.
The only thing they got screwed on is Qatar should have split it with the whole region. They got foot with the bill.
Who said they didn't?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm sure everyone kind of chipped in for that.
Because even Saudi, every celebrity was in Saudi in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
Every single one.
Yeah. And not just American. We know Indian celebrities were there.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Lil Wayne was talking about, I just saw a TikTok interview. Lil Wayne, he said he landed in Saudi, and he was on his private plane, or whoever, maybe they sent the private plane. I don't know whose plane it was. And they stopped him on the runway and said, you can't have more than $25,000 worth of jewelry, or you have to declare it. He goes, all right, peace, I'm out. Goes back in the plane. And then word gets back to the prince immediately, whichever prince hosted him. And he got so furious at the security, like called him and said, please come, deliver him I think a Richard Mille watch, and then asked him, what Lamborghini do you want? Which color? And he didn't know if, like, do you just like these cars? And it's a black Lamborghini. I love black Lamborghinis. He goes, it'll be in your house within 2 weeks, shipped to you in the US, wherever Lil Wayne lives. And he said, yeah, I got that car 3 days ago. They spare no expense.
Yeah.
They are basically, this is incredible social experiment. If you just pay people enough money.
Can you change the perception of your region?
Yes. And it's working.
It is working. Because the fact that, like, the way how positive people are talking about the Middle East today, from like the heels of 9/11, where it was pariah, like public enemy number one, and now it's a place you go vacation. That's within 20 years.
Yeah.
In 20 years, the perception has changed.
Yeah, and multiple crises.
Yeah.
Financial crisis, COVID crisis.
Yeah.
And they came out on top.
Yeah. It's an unbelievable, incredible experiment.
So like if you go to Hawaii, you go to like the Four Seasons in Maui, it's primarily Midwest folks. Yeah. When are they like, you know what, Sally, let's go over to Dubai?
I think the problem with that is just the distance. I think if it was physically closer, I think they'd be there. I mean, think about like the leap to go to Mexico. Like, when did that change in this country?
I think it's just they did so well with hospitality.
Yeah.
And they made it so secure, safe, comfortable for families that, I mean, all these hotels in Mexico, I know you were just there a couple weeks. It's so family friendly.
Yeah.
Like everything about it, is.
And I would argue that Dubai is substantially more safer than Mexico. Not even on the same planet.
There's zero crime in Dubai.
Yeah. You don't have to be worried about doing anything.
No.
Whereas you venture into town in Mexico.
Yeah, you might get kidnapped.
Yeah, things can happen. All right. Let's move on. Big in real estate investing. So we were hearing last year that there was like heavy redemptions in the Blackstone REITs, and they had to pause it because they were obviously worried that like too many people were going to exit the the fund. Big news coming out. It sounds like the University of California Endowment is investing $4 billion into Blackstone's REIT. It's called BREIT, and guaranteeing them 11.25% return to the UC over 6 years.
Yeah. So it basically guarantees them a $3 billion gain.
Yep.
And I think what the larger point is, if Blackstone's willing to do this, there's no shaken confidence in U.S. real estate.
Yeah.
They're like, we know it's going up.
Yeah. It was just a bad, we just had a bad year. Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And they're backstopping with the billion. So even they're like, there's no way we're even going to go down 25%.
Yeah.
Because they're like, we're going to backstop your $4 billion with the billion and guarantee 11.25. So they're like, trust me, you're not losing more than $1 billion. Even if you do, we're backstopping it and giving you a return.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of confidence one of the biggest asset allocators in the world has in U.S. real estate is pretty astounding.
I'm with them on it. I mean,
there's just a lack of supply nationwide.
Yeah.
So they're just like playing.
And I think they know that, like, if you look, and we talked about this, if you bought a home in the last few years, why the fuck would you sell? Knowing the interest rates are going to be substantially higher. Like, I don't think this, like, you're not fleeing to another city or country.
Blackstone's been the single biggest buyer of single family residential homes in the last 5 years.
Yeah. So they've clearly made their bet.
So they're buying the homes and we can't buy homes.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
Yeah. There's no rent them out. Well, look, I think the good news is I think it does instill confidence in, one, real estate investors. Two, I think it helps just creates, you want financial markets to be stable. So when a big firm like this does this, and by the way, UC endowment is very important. That's important money. It funds the education.
The top 10 endowments are like the biggest investors in all these funds.
Yeah. So
Harvard, Yale. Yeah. I wonder if they went to Harvard and they said no, because obviously Harvard's a bigger endowment than UC.
Yeah. Harvard's just smarter than the UCs.
No, that's my point, that the UC's bit.
Yeah.
You think Harvard and Yale didn't get offered this?
I mean, who would you trust? Someone with the UCLA or Harvard? I'm not trusting someone that went to UCLA or Berkeley.
My point is, why didn't Harvard and Yale bite?
Because maybe they smell bullshit.
Who's gonna balk at 11.25% annual return?
Harvard.
It must have. That's my assumption.
Yeah. Or maybe Harvard comes knocking and goes, hey, we'll do it for 12%.
Yeah. That'll be funny.
11.5.
Just edge out the UCs by a quarter point.
I mean, that's how if you went to UC, that's basically how your whole life is going to be. You're going to be edged out by someone who went to Harvard.
Good thing you got the flag.
Yeah. Fascinating. It's really interesting. Here's some really big news. So one of the things that I've been trying to figure out is, like, Shopify has been seeing some growth in that last quarter. And my assumption was that small businesses were generally struggling, saw declines in their business over the last year. Thus, Shopify would struggle. What it didn't account for is that Shopify is converting enterprise customers onto their platform. So enterprise, meaning large businesses, are now switching to Shopify. Historically, Shopify was not looked as a platform for the largest retailers. People always made excuses that it's not good enough. It didn't do this. It didn't do that. But now that there's Fashion Nova and Kylie Cosmetics and Yeezy and all these huge sites on Shopify, if you're a retailer, what's your excuse for not being on Shopify? So yesterday, big announcement, Supreme this week is switching to Shopify, which must be what, a $1 to $2 billion e-commerce business is my guess. It's got to be huge.
Yeah, I would think so. And then obviously the brand recognition.
Yeah.
And Shopify advertises on all these sports podcasts I listen to.
Yeah.
Really bizarre.
Well, I mean, just founders.
Or like they just think
basically, if you're sitting about thinking a business, the first thing should come up is I need to have a Shopify. It's like a badge of kind of starting a business.
I wonder what guarantees they had to do, because obviously this is a big fish. Obviously there's bigger companies, but Supreme is a massive name. Just like dedicated customer support, dedicated engineers. Like, I really wonder what the bells and whistles that came with it.
Yeah,
how much they're actually going to make off Supreme.
I think
my guess is Supreme's site was working just fine.
So bots was an issue. So that was one thing that Shopify thinks they can help solve for, is the bot thing. Because a lot of streetwear sites are on Shopify. So I think they're thinking about it more so than, I don't know where they came from, Demandware or NetSuite or
and
whoever.
Supreme's still owned by Carlyle, right?
No, Vans. Vans bought it.
Oh, got it.
Carlyle made their money already.
Damn.
Good quick double. But yeah, and the other big announcement Shopify made was that they are now offering select tools and services to larger customers. So there are customers that are happy with their current, or it's too painful for them to leave their current legacy system or their homegrown system. But Shopify has built so many amazing tools. So now they're allowing people to use those tools and services, obviously for a fee. So people like Mattel and Glossier and Coty and Steve Madden and Staples have all onboarded to now start utilizing some of the tools that Shopify has built. Really interesting. These are like two pretty big fucking deals. And it shows that Shopify realizes the SMB, the small business, is basically probably in a rut. Like, my guess is small businesses are in a rut for the next 3 to 5 years.
Right.
So it's hard to get growth there. Whereas, can Supreme grow 10% next year? Yeah, probably grow 20%. Can Mattel grow? Can all these mega enterprise clients? Yes, they can grow. Let's switch over to use the Shopify platform. Let's start milking money out of all these other services we've built. Huge.
Yeah. No, I mean,
I think Shopify has really positioned themselves well.
They're clearly still working despite their stock being down.
Yeah.
These are innovative things they're doing.
Yeah.
So
and I think
it's an interesting company to actually look at from an investment perspective, because I don't know how much room they have to go down. What are they trading at? Like 35 billion, something like that?
Yeah, 35, 40 billion.
And at the peak, there's probably 250?
Yeah, they're down, probably 80%.
And they're clearly
innovative. Their founders seem like they're still very much engaged. They seem like good people too.
Yeah,
like
Canadians.
Yeah, I love Canadians.
Harmless.
Yeah.
Canadians have had a huge impact on American culture.
Shopify, Drake,
Justin Bieber,
Weeknd.
There you go. What more do you want?
I mean, probably 3 of the biggest artists ever.
Yeah.
Wow. Great for Canadians. They've had a big impact on youth culture.
Yeah, and it's not that big of a country.
Yeah. The other thing they also announced is that the company is canceling all meetings with more than 2 employees, thinking that these group team meetings are ineffective.
So Coinbase did that with no more than 8 employees. So they've cut it down to 2.
2, yeah. 2 is tough. So you're telling me if
it has to be one-on-one then?
Yeah. What if there's 3 people working on something? Now the third person's fucked?
I mean, I've always thought large meetings were pretty pointless.
Yeah.
Because everyone's not participating. You're going to have a shy person that might be the most talented person in the room that just doesn't speak up. And maybe will speak up on a one-on-one meeting. Kind of like it.
Yeah, I do like it. I think it makes more sense in mature organizations.
It's also like, in the era of everyone's on their laptops and phones pretending to take notes, who knows if they're even checked in or checked out? In a one-on-one meeting, it's pretty tough to be checked out.
Yeah, because someone will ask you something and you'll be like, oh man, I'm watching fucking the second
TikTok.
season of, Yellowstone.
Yeah, it holds the meeting to be, you'll know really quickly what you're getting out of the person.
So I'll tell you, most recently, I've been doing a ton of one-on-ones. I went from, I'm probably doing a dozen one-on-ones a week now. I believe that is way more effective. Spending time, 15 minutes, undivided attention, phone away, is way more valuable.
No one's paying attention in these group meetings when the laptops are up.
Yeah.
No idea what they're doing.
No. Interesting. All right. Here's something interesting. So on New Year's Eve every year, I always see these articles about the copyrights that are coming about. And so I was looking at this article, and so American copyright laws are crazy. It's kind of bizarre, but basically there are certain things that expire, like the copyright expires.
It's like 75 years, right?
Yeah. And eventually it becomes public domain, and basically anyone can use it. So for example, like, it's pretty crazy, some of the stuff that's coming live. So like, a ton of movies and books. So the case book of Sherlock Holmes, public domain. That's insane.
So what are the logistics? Whoever the owner of it
copyrighted it.
Yeah.
And then now it's actually, so they were supposed to go into the public domain in 2003, but after being copyrighted for 75 years, Congress hit a 20-year pause button, extended their copyright term to 95 years. So these are things that are 95 years old. So there's all kinds of songs, Agatha Christie book, The Big Four, Ernest Hemingway, Men Without Women. So those are some of the books. There's movies, Wings, The King of Kings, Seventh Heaven. There's music. I mean, the best things in life are free. It is now public domain. So Putting on the Ritz, public domain. Anyone can go record that song and not pay an ounce of.
So a lot of these things can go viral on social media.
Yeah.
Because now it's public domain. You can use it for whatever you want.
Like if I was a musician, I would sit and go through that thing, come up with my own version of that song. It's well known. Shit. If it hits, it hits.
Yeah.
You pay no copyright, no publishing, no nothing. Unbelievable.
It's great.
I think that's how the law works, but that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right. I want to talk about a little bit of TV. So some ratings came out. Christmas Day, there's NFL, and normally there's only NBA. But because it fell on a Sunday, the NFL was there. Similar this past weekend, NFL fell, and on January 1st, they pushed all the bowl games.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's
UFC
not the
had to
other
play
way
on the
around.
second.
So all the bowl games, Rose Bowl, Cotton Bowl, all these bowl games got pushed to January 2nd. And it's clear why. The ratings are absolutely fucking nuts. So typically these basketball games, I don't know what the viewership is normally, but on Christmas Day this past year, the Knicks game got 4 million. The Lakers game got 4.3. Bucks Celtics was the biggest game with 6 million viewers. There was 3 NFL games. I would argue 2 of them are complete trash games.
So from a playoff perspective, 2 mattered, 1 didn't matter at all.
Yeah.
It was 2 bottom 5 teams. The
Broncos and Rams.
Bottom 5.
Yeah.
Literally, they don't matter for fantasy. Because if you're this late in your fantasy league, these teams freaking suck.
Yeah,
you're not
in the finals.
You're not in the finals.
Yeah.
And like no one was in that game.
22.5 million people watch Broncos and Rams. 25.92 million people watch Packers Dolphins. Bucks Cardinals, 17 million people. Total NFL across 3 games, 65 million viewers. NBA across 5 games, 21 million. Look, I don't think it's fair to compare the NBA and NFL because you have 82 games, you have all these teams, you have, I think the NBA finals is probably an NBA playoffs is more reflective of probably every week NFL kind of coverage. Still probably not reaching that many viewers, but man, NFL was single-handedly keeping TV alive.
At least live broadcasts.
Yeah.
But now it's gone to streaming.
Yeah.
So now that YouTube has...
But they only have Sunday Ticket.
It's true. If you still want to watch on Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
Sunday night game,
You're
Monday
watching-
night game, Thursday night game.
And by the way, the NFL knows not to, they're going to keep everyone, they're going to feed everybody. They're going to keep NBC happy, keep CBS happy, keep Fox. It's good for the ecosystem.
Yeah, I just looked at historical ratings for the NBA Christmas. It's in line.
Yeah.
It's not like a dramatic fall off. So the same people that watched NBA the last 10, 15 years were watching NBA.
Yeah. It's just the NFL is just so powerful. All right, let's move on. Final topic and very, very sad news. So if you live in America, Monday Night Football is basically Monday Night Football is basically as American as apple pie. And everyone watches it. It's huge ratings.
Huge
And-
ratings regardless of who plays. And this Monday night was a critical game for the playoffs.
Yeah, and it's like mega stars. You got the Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrows.
Yeah, the Bengals were in the Super Bowl last year.
Big game. Everyone's watching. It was on at my house. I'm sure it was on at your house, on everywhere. And within the first quarter, a very tragic thing happened during one of the plays. Damar Hamlin, the safety for the Buffalo Bills, was involved in a tackle, and it looks like he kind of like got up and collapsed.
Mm-hmm.
And the TV was like, basically, announcers were confused.
So I wasn't watching live. I was just getting home from the airport.
Yeah, so we were
So
watching.
I don't know what the announcers were saying.
I don't have the sound on when I watch, so it's just on.
I mean, I
But we
saw
saw
the clips. Yeah.
medical attention come, then we saw a stretcher come, then we saw an ambulance come, and that was over like 30, 40 minutes. And then we turned on the volume, and basically they just said that Damar Hamlin had collapsed. He's being taken to University of Cincinnati Hospital, and that was all we knew. And then you were checking Twitter to see, and so people were speculating all kinds of things. And then they say he got intubated, he had a pulse, so there was some positive sign. And they say he's still in critical condition. He is doesn't sound like he's awake yet, but he's breathing through a ventilator. That's all we know. Has anything else come out?
No, I think they intentionally sedated him
Got it.
to get him intubated. And the running theory is a bunch of doctors have come out
Yeah.
and like talked on Twitter and stuff. The running theory is when he got hit, his heart pulse was at X, and it was a total freak that like when you get hit with that kind of force and your heart is at this rate, this can happen. And I think it's called comocarditis.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to pretend to be a
Yeah.
medical expert on this stuff,
Yeah.
but that's the running theory.
Yeah.
That it was like a freak hit at the time his heart was doing something,
Yeah.
and it caused him to go into cardiac arrest. So they had to do CPR on the field.
Yeah.
And I wasn't watching live, but I watched all the clips, and I've been watching sports my entire life, and I've never seen anything like this. The game got suspended,
Yeah.
which you've never seen.
Yeah.
The NFL, we've seen people be paralyzed, almost paralyzed,
Yeah.
unconscious.
Yeah.
And the horror in the players' eyes,
Yeah.
never seen that at
Yeah.
this level.
Yeah.
Even when people are not moving,
Yeah. You're not seeing the reaction.
the reaction. And then it was the first time I've seen in my life the sports world, in the context of sports, forget everything else that's going on in the world, in
Yeah.
the context of sports, that everything just stopped.
Yeah.
And if you turned on ESPN, and then when I got home, CNN, MSNBC,
Oh, yeah, everyone was talking about
everyone
it.
was covering it. And I think I don't know, man. The reason we've seen crazy injuries in
Yeah.
sports. I know this is extremely severe, but they must have been getting even worse news than we were getting on the field, the way everyone was reacting.
I also think it's emotional maturity of the players. Whereas I think 20 years ago, you were like, you're a gladiator.
Yeah.
You go out, you put it out on the field, and you just have no emotion. And these are kind of educated guys now.
Oh, they're all polished.
Yeah, and I think that this just fucked them up. mentally.
Yeah.
And so they show the reaction, and I think it's good. I also think the NFL kind of did the right thing, which is cancel the game. I mean, there was, first it sounded like they were just going to make them warm up after 5 minutes, and the coaches stepped in and basically said, yo.
Yeah, no one's playing.
No.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the players are so fast, so strong, they're hitting it harder than ever, that these things are going to happen more often, not cardiac arrest, but like severe injuries. It's just the law of physics. And then on top of that, I mean, if you turned on ESPN this morning, like on First Take, a lot of the guys on First Take that at least talk about NFL all played. And the horror they had in their eyes, and these are former players, and they were like, yeah, we know we're sacrificing our health when we do these things. And I think it's a level of information that's now here.
Yeah.
And I'm look, the NFL is the shield. Nothing affects it.
Yeah.
Like they're going on week 18 and they're going to play the full slate. And seeing the former players react so like kind of distraught was the first time I've ever seen it at this level.
Yeah, I think the reaction is appropriate. I think the decision was right to cancel.
The NFL is in a massive logistical nightmare right now. I mean, like obviously the focus is on Damar Hamlin for the obvious reasons.
Yeah, whatever. Just cancel the game. Pretend like it didn't get played. Fucking call it a tie.
Yeah.
Call it whatever. It doesn't. It's irrelevant, right? Like these, whatever the records are, the records are. If it got rained out or if it got lightning, what would you do? You may or may not have played.
They played 2 days later.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. And I think the thing is that despite NFL being such like a violent sport, it's quite shocking that like, if you really think about like the injuries that have happened in the sport, like this type of injury, it's pretty shocking. It's so few
at this level. But I think Carson Palmer, who played for the Bengals for years, USC quarterback, I think he was the #1 pick, right?
Yeah.
He used to say publicly while he was in the NFL, someone's going to die on this field.
Yeah.
Like we don't have the safety measures.
Yeah.
And we got as close as possible as last night.
Yeah.
Because if it weren't for the right medical attention, he would.
Well, that's what there's a guy, pro football doc, that was a live streaming, and I was watching it. He said, if this were happened to you, there's only two places I'd want to be. It's on a football field or a
with
hospital.
that many doctors.
Yeah, because there's more doctors there than there are at fucking most local hospitals.
Maybe not hospitals, but yes, anywhere else other than a hospital.
Yeah, other than
public place.
Yeah. I mean, like, dude, probably in Cincinnati, the hospital, and then this place probably had the second most doctors.
Yeah.
And so you are getting A+ medical attention immediately. Really interesting to see how, I mean, it's really hard if you're a player to play.
Yeah. I mean, Sunday's coming up in 4 days, 5 days.
There's no Thursday game.
There's no Thursday. I think there's 2 Saturday games and then a full slate of Sunday.
Yeah. Interesting to see. Big news.
I know we're in this like hot take culture, but I've never seen the sports world react to anything sports related like this.
Yeah. That's fair.
Kobe's death would probably be another thing.
I would say that, was pretty significant. Well, hopefully he feels better. There was a hockey player that went through this.
Yeah, I saw that in 1998 or something.
And played that season.
Yeah. So hopefully it's the same luck.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the news on that will continue. I feel like every hour you're going to hear. Yeah,
we haven't heard an update since last night.
This morning, the family posted basically, we'll let you know.
Yeah.
Thanks for all your support.
I don't think there is an update.
Yeah. It takes time. Yeah. All right. Well, moving on. We're going to end with some shout outs, some positive news. The first is from Prashil Patel, giving out a shout out to Amar, Rahil, Nishant, and Shivam, and to his wife, Mukit, who is also hooked to group chat. These are new group chat listeners.
Why surprisingly?
Yeah. Why can't your wife be into it?
Yeah.
Just a couple of Indian guys talking.
Yeah, exactly.
She's probably listening to this in her home all day. And I guess they were traveling for Christmas in the Northeast, got hooked to the pod, and it was recommended by their buddies out in Rhode Island. Thanks, Rhode Island people.
Yeah. Never been.
I don't even know where Rhode Island is. If you told me you got to go to Rhode Island right now, I wouldn't know where to go.
You would go on kayak and book a flight and end up in Rhode Island.
No, but let's just say I was stuck in New York and someone said, you got to go Rhode Island. Where would you go?
Northeast.
That's where you'd go?
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's the only way to cook. Somewhere there.
Yeah.
The next shout out's from Jordan, our own Jordan.
Wow.
Jordan, deliver the shout out. Deliver it live. This is to your boy, Jacob.
My boy Jacob, longtime best friend since kindergarten.
Wow.
Big 26th birthday shout out to him. He started listening to the pod shortly after I did. I put him onto it. But I'm beyond proud of what you've been able to accomplish in Dallas real estate, despite people doubting you. Entrepreneurship is hard and you're absolutely killing it. I'm looking forward to seeing your success this year and many more after. I'm thankful to call you my brother. Cheers.
All right.
Awesome.
Happy birthday, Jacob.
And congrats on all your success.
Yeah, 26. The good era.
Ballin'.
Yeah. And the final is to our buddy Vinay. Chada, his birthday was yesterday.
Oh,
Turned 40.
wow. Happy 40th.
Still single, huh?
Yeah, your mom can't be too happy about that.
Yeah. He was on the, Indian matchmaking show.
Clearly didn't work.
Yeah. You need to get a refund, Vinay. Happy birthday, bro. And incredible runner. Great runner.
He's in great shape.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Happy New Year. And we will see you. We might do an episode tomorrow and knock out our predictions for 2023 and sail you right into the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everyone. Bye-bye.
Peace.